Test, test. Test, test. Test, test. Okay, there we go. So last week we were speaking a little bit about the stacked walls, and we had an exercise, and we came to the end of the class, and one of the students had a third wall, a third floor put in there, and one of the other students suggested that we change the constraints so that the height of the wall went all the way up to the third floor. So I thought that was a great idea, but we were getting close to the end of class and I just wanted to complete. So I'd like to start right there, but if you take a look and let's see what happens if we did that. So you can see the screen. I've clicked on this stacked wall and I'm going to tell that stacked wall in the constraints that make the top constraint go up to the top of the third floor wall. And look what happens. The wall, all of these components are set in terms of the actual height of those components, and that's not going to change. But what did change was our variable. Our variable expanded in order to accommodate the constraints that we set. The base of this is the bottom of the basement wall, and the top of this is the top of the second floor wall, and Revit did exactly what we told it to do. It's not what we wanted it to do, but it's what we told it to do. And in so doing, it took the variable and modified it to satisfy the top and the bottom constraints of that wall. So I think that that makes sense. So what I would like to suggest here is that let's fix this so that we have a third floor wall here for this particular setup. So what I would do first of all is I would click on this dimension and I would say edit the witness line. And then that allows me to continue my dimension string. And now that tells me that I'm going to have a third floor bond, which is going to be 1 foot high. And I'm going to have a third floor wall, which is going to be 10 feet tall. So I'm going to copy this guy, just use the copy command and just bring him over here because I don't want to destroy this one. I'm going to, in fact, change this one so that the constraints are back to where they're supposed to be because that wall is, I want to keep that wall. I don't want to lose it. This one I'm going to duplicate and change it so that it says that it has a third floor wall set up on it. So let's edit this one. We'll duplicate it. And this was from the midterm, but I'll just call it 3 floors. And that will make sense to me when I see it. Maybe I can get rid of that too. Okay, so now all I have to do is go in here and take a look at what I want to do. I need to add another bond and I need to add another wall. So I'll just say insert, insert, and let's see what happened. So this guy really is going to be my bond, which we said was 1 foot tall. So I'm going to change that to the second floor bond. Should be up here. Continuing ed. Look what happened. Change that. And I think I forgot what we said that was going to be. Maybe it was only 10 feet. So let's change it. I'm guessing because I didn't pay attention. And we'll say okay to that. And let's see what happened. Look at that. So now the stacked wall, the constraint is the bottom of the basement wall, the brick ledge, the first floor bond, the first floor wall, the second floor bond, the second floor wall, the third floor bond, and the third floor wall are all correct in terms of the height that I wanted them to be relative to this drawing. So that is the, if we had a little bit more time last week, we were really past the 9 o'clock hour. And I know that many of you have jobs, and on top of that, some of you probably have families too, or most of you, if not all of you, have families too. And then, you know, another responsibility is this class. So I do try to wrap it up by 9 o'clock. It's just not fair to keep you here any longer than it. But if we had spent more time, then you can see what we would have done. So does anybody have any questions about what I just demonstrated there? I just wanted to show that first of all, the variable, which is the basement wall, and then if we want to go to the third floor, we really have to put components in there that would satisfy our needs. Now, if there were no floor and this wall simply went up to the top of the third floor wall in this particular case, then we would change the constraints of this wall to be this distance, which would be, I can use my brain and add it up, or I can use Revit to do the thinking for me. So if this were a 2-story space, then I would make my second floor wall have a dimensional value of 22'6". So if I copy this guy again over this way and duplicate and rename, we'll just call that 2-story second floor. Okay, so that makes sense to me. And then what did we say? 22'6", I think, would be that wall. Okay, and let's say okay to that. Now, look what happened. The constraints are still I'm still telling it to go up to the top of the second floor wall. So what happened was, in order for that to occur, Revit modified the variable, which is the basement wall, and made it shorter in order for that new wall height to work. So I'll change that to the top constraint, to the top of the third floor wall, and look what happens. Okay, now my footing's good, my basement wall is good, my brick ledge is good, my first floor bond is right, my first floor wall height is correct, second floor bond, and now my third floor or second floor wall goes up 2 stories because I gave it that 22'6" value in the stacked wall. So we'll start making our second stacked wall right now. Unless anyone has any questions or comments or thoughts or ideas here, I'll pause for a second and let somebody verbalize or voice whatever they're thinking.
How did you create the pedestal at the bottom basement wall?
At the footing here?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to take a look at this in 3D, which is, I have my quick access toolbar below the ribbon. Remember, we said we can put it at the top of the ribbon or at the bottom by simply clicking on this and then telling it where we want it. And I'm used to it being down at the bottom. But my quick access toolbar has that 3-dimensional image of a house. And I want to look at what we have here in 3D. So I'm going to click on that button. And it shows me my 3 stacked walls that we were working on in 3-dimension. And what you're seeing over here is this particular model, the Revit drawing, started with a template that had all of these already in it. So as I'm creating a new house for the first time, I don't have to create all the stacked walls. I don't have to go through the exercise that we're going through last week and a little bit of this week before we actually roll up our sleeves and start being an architect. But I have all of that. So this is my 3D view. You can see that I have the footings in already over here, but let's see, you can see that this particular wall doesn't have the footing. So let's put it in there. It's very simple. We go over to the structure tab, which is the second tab, and we go over to the foundation area of the ribbon. And we look at here, we have a wall foundation, and it defaults to 36 by 12. If we wanted it to be something else, I could edit it. But now all I have to do is just click on that wall and look what happened. I put that footing all the way underneath that wall. So now if I take this wall, And if I change the distance of that wall, let's type WT so you can see it. You can see what I'm doing in all three views that I have open. I have my section view open here. I have my plan view open here, and I have my 3D view open here. So to be able to see all of the tabs that you have open across here, or all of the drawings that you have open, you simply type the letters WT, and that toggles, it creates windows for all of the tabs up here that you have open. So I want to take this wall, and if I just take this wall and I stretch it a little bit wider, look what happens. It got wider, but so did the footing. So that's one of the nice things about Revit is this footing is attached to the wall now. And if I wanted to change it, if say my structural engineer said, Bob, the soils are really bad on that particular property, you really should have a different, a thicker footing, a wider footing, I could simply edit the type, duplicate it, and say maybe 48 instead of 36. So 48 inch by 12 and say, okay. And then I just come down to the properties here. Instead of saying 36, I'll say 4 and say, okay. And now that footing is 4 feet wide. So that's my 48 by 12 footing. If I take a look at this view in the section and double check to see, I'll know that that's a 48 inch wide footing, but I can't see it in my section. So this is another good demonstration to talk about. I want to crop the view. I want to show the crop region. And what that is simply just a window around what we want to be able to see in our drawing. So I want to be able to see that other footing that we just put in there. So I've
Professor,
yes.
I don't have that structural tab.
Up
On
at the
my
top, really?
yeah, and I think it was because of like a setting that I did before. I think when you first start Revit, they ask you like what trade you're going into, and I
What
think
template? Yeah.
they customized your toolbar based off of that.
So which template did you use?
The architectural one.
Well, this is the architectural one, so it should be there. I'm
Oh,
not sure why it isn't. Okay, so let's see if we can get to it another way. So structure tab, and yeah, see the brief the shortcut for your keyboard is FT. So try typing FT and see what happens.
FT. Yeah, so I got it's showing up as wall foundation.
Yep, that should do it. If you click on your stacked wall, it should put it on the base of the basement, the bottom of the basement wall. Give it a try. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so yeah, that worked.
So some people like to use the shortcuts, and if you do, then just hover over it and it'll tell you what the shortcuts are. In this case, it's FT. And if we were doing, something else, we were doing a brace, for example, it would be BR. It's highlighted. It tells us here in the window. It tells us what the shortcut is. If there is a shortcut, it tells us what that is. So some people like to use the shortcuts, and that's how the easiest way to figure out what those shortcuts are in order to get to them. So you can see I have my my view, my crop region. If I say hide it, then it's gone. If I say show it to me, then I click on that icon again, and I can define what I want to see. Maybe all I wanted to see was that particular wall and nothing else. Well, I can do that. Okay, so that's going to show me just that wall. So that's your crop region, which will come in very handy, because if you take a look generally, if you look at my model, it's a mess. My first floor model is an absolute disaster. I have stuff all over the place, but it doesn't matter, because when I go to present, I just crop what it is that I want to actually be shown. And then I put that on a title block. So, you know, we can have a big mess here. In fact, I have notes, and sometimes if my clients saw those notes, they would see what I really think of them, which is not a good idea sometimes, you know. So you know, you can be as, and I think if you take a look at most architects' Revit plans, you might, or renderings or whatever, there may be simple notes, reminders or whatever there over here on the side. You know, just might put a little note to remind yourself, or to remind myself, you know, I'm leaving now. I'm on my way to Atlantic City for the weekend, and I know I have to do something, but I don't have time to do it now. So there we go. I have a note there to remind me to do that when I come back on Monday, a substantially less wealthy person, thanks to Atlantic City. But you get the idea, right? You know, even if you're just leaving for the evening and you just realize you have to do something, you can make yourself a note. You can, of course, delete it or simply don't include it in the crop region, and we won't be able to see that. That's a bad example, isn't it? Because it's still showing up. That should not have done that. Okay, so there's a couple other ways to get rid of that. One is right click on top of it, and we have hide in view. We can hide the element, which is just the text that we have highlighted, or we could hide all of the text if we picked category. So I'll just say element. So there it's gone. So we can't see it. I think though, if we put this on a sheet, I think that the only thing we would see was what's inside the crop region. Yeah, okay, so I'm telling it, the button next to this icon to hide the crop region is to actually tell it crop the view or don't crop the view. So I have my crop region visible, but I have told it not to crop the view. So that's this button here. And then this one is, of course, hide the crop region. So there we have just the answer to that question. So what we wanted to do was just to measure that. So I just want to know what's the dimension, and look at that, it's 4 feet. We didn't modify this guy, so it should still be 12 inches. Let's see. Yeah. I saw that it was 12 inches, but it was on top of the concrete. So yeah, there we go. So as long as we're into, well, we're going to make the other two stacked walls, but I would like to show something here. If I drag this guy over here, look what happens. There is a white border around the text, and I don't like that. So I'll just, because I have it here, this is a little bit farther down the road, but let's just take a look at the properties of this text here. So I've highlighted this text. I'll come over to the properties. I'll say edit the type. And instead of being opaque, I want it to be transparent. And so I just change it to transparent. So then all I get is the text, and I don't get that a white box around my text anymore, because I think that this looks much better, even though it's on top of something, than it would if it had that white box. Now, if you disagree with that, then leave the opaque setting and you won't have any problem. So I want to move on to our second stacked wall, but before I do that, I want to know if anybody has any questions or thoughts, or comments, ideas, or anything that they want to share. Okay, so let's, I have all of these windows open, and I only want the window that's active. Let's say this is my active window. That's the only one I want open. We have a little button. Let's see, where's that one? Close inactive windows. Yeah, that's not going to do it. That's the tabs, if you had the tabs up there. Let's see, we got the view, and then, all right, well, I'm failing to see that in a timely fashion, so I'll just X out of it. But here's our one view. And now what we want to do is our floor plan really has 3 different main stacked walls. One is the stacked wall that we just made that's around the house. One is the wall that's between the house and the garage. And then the one is the outside garage wall, because we don't have a basement under that. So let's take the let's take our first stacked wall and let's change that. So we'll copy it. And this one, we'll duplicate it and we'll call it the wall that's between the house and the garage. Okay. So again, edit the type, duplicate it, and we'll just call it house garage. So that'll tell us that whenever we look at this particular I'm going to have to rename it because I didn't get it right here. Back, wall, space. Okay. So now if I'm looking at all my list of stacked walls, I can very easily identify which one it is that I want. So naming the walls that make sense to you is very important from a time-consuming point of view, because if you don't know which wall you want because you don't know what it's called, it's going to take more effort more time in order to find the correct wall. And one of the reasons we're using Revit or you're learning Revit is because you want to be quicker and more efficient than with AutoCAD. And that's one of the things is file maintenance and file naming makes sense, that you do it in a logical fashion. And especially if you're sharing work with an office of other people, then you want to make sure that your standards are clear for everybody, so that if you're not in one day and somebody sits down in your chair and starts working on your project, or copies it or opens it up on their workstation, that they don't have to go through the process of, is it this wall, is it this wall, is it this wall? So naming of the walls is pretty important too. So anyway, we've named it this wall. Let's take a look at it. We want to preview it and let's see what we have. All right, so the wall between the house and the garage will not have brick on it. We don't put brick on the wall that's between the house and the garage, because the purpose of the brick is to protect the wall from the elements outside of the house, the snow and the rain and whatever else. But in the garage, that's not an outside wall. So what we want to do is we want to take these three walls right here, this one, and this one, and we want to duplicate it and take away the brick, but we're going to put some gypsum board there instead. So the easiest way to do that is I'm opening up my notebook here, and I'm just going to write down the name of those to make sure that I know what the name of those walls are. So this wall, it'll highlight it, is called the brick ledge midterm. So I'm actually going to write that down so I can remember it. And then I'm going to write the one on top of that, which is what? Highlighted. I always like to click on it to make sure, because it highlights it, just to make sure that what I think I want it to be changed is actually what it's called. So that's the bond midterm. And then the last one is the one above that, which is the brick stud midterm. Okay, so I'm just writing the names down. So when I get to change them, I won't be confused about what the names of those walls are. Now we can't change it here. So I'm going to cancel out of that. The reason we can't change it or don't want to change it is because whatever I do right now, if I change the brick ledge of the midterm, it's going to change this to the brick ledge of the midterm. So I don't want to change this wall. I've changed the name of it, but I don't want to change that wall, because if I just change it to a single type of wall, it'll change that wall to look like this guy, or a different guy. So I just want to leave this one alone and come back, and I can take this guy now, and I can change that to the brick ledge midterm. So I've highlighted it. Now if you don't have this in your drawing, then you're already lost a little bit. So I'll go back to the first floor, And I'll just draw that architecture wall. I'm looking for my brick ledge midterm. So I'll click on here and all of the things will come up. The things that that I used recently are here, but I'll come down and I'll take a look. It's generally in alphabetical order. So I have brick ledge midterm. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm just going to draw that wall across here. Okay. And it's telling me that some walls overlap, but I guess I'm really not too concerned about that. So here I have my brick ledge midterm that I call it. We're going to change that to brick ledge no brick. So I'm going to edit the type and duplicate it, and it's going to be brick ledge no brick, because it's going to still have the ledge, but it won't have any brick on it. So if I call it no brick, that'll make sense to me. And I'm also going to write that down as a note so that I remember.
Professor, I'm sorry, this is Doug. I'm way behind you here. I just now got my wall copied.
Okay.
And I don't know, when you copy an entity, does it stay the same name, or does it create a separate entity that you then rename? I didn't quite catch what was going on when you were doing that.
So first we copy it. So let's copy. Okay. This is the exact same wall as I just copied. So if I hover over it, it's the stack wall midterm. If I hover over that, it's the stacked wall midterm. So now if I highlight it, and then I can edit the type and duplicate it, and it will change it there, but it will only change this wall. It won't change this one.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about. Okay.
Do not want to change my original, because we've already went to a lot of trouble to build that. So we don't want to do it again. All right, so let's go back to my section now. This is my brick ledge with no brick. So let's look at the properties, edit the type, and we'll look at the structure, and it has brick. So instead of brick, I'm going to put, I'm going to make that gypsum board. So I type GYP, and there's my gypsum board, and I'm going to make it 5/8 of an inch. Generally, that's not an option. The wall between the house and the garage is a fire code type X 5/8 inch gypsum board. If you said you wanted 1/2 inch in the rest of your house, that would be fine, but this particular wall is going to have gypsum board. So I don't have a brick, so I'm not going to have my airspace anymore, so I can delete that. And wait a second, I'm not even, this is my brick ledge, so I stand corrected. I'm not going to have anything except for my brick ledge, which is my concrete. So I'll say okay to that, and I'll say okay to that. And there's my brick ledge now, which is that height right now. That's my brick ledge. You can see that it's the same thickness of the concrete, but there is no brick there anymore. Does that make sense what we just did? We just duplicated this particular brick ledge, and we took off the brick in the airspace. I put the gypsum board, I wasn't thinking, so that was my mistake. We'll put the gypsum board later on this wall right here, the bond, and we'll put the gypsum board on this wall, the first floor wall, but we don't actually put the gypsum board down here. So I might have confused you a little bit, but I'm asking if that makes sense to you right now, and I'll give you a moment to make that change. And then anybody that needs any help, speak up.
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
On the brick ledge with no brick, you said that there's no brick, but there's just a concrete wall with 8 inch.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just delete this.
So that's all we want. And that concrete should be between the core boundaries, because we always have to have something between the core boundaries. So if we take a look at the properties here.
And what is the constraint?
Well,
Is there
that doesn't matter at this point. We're just trying to make the wall. When we put this into a stacked wall, we will in fact give it a value. And in my case here, to answer your question, it's going to be 4 feet. Well, that'll be the constraint of the brick ledge. So if we take a look at this wall, edit it, and look at the structure, that brick ledge is 4 feet. Now it's going to be a brick ledge with no brick, still going to be the same height. So that answered, long answer to a short question, but I think you're in good shape if we just build this wall right now as an individual basic wall, and then we'll add that into our stacked wall a little bit later. So the next thing we want.
Oh, sorry. I copied the wall, but it's got like a lock symbol on it, so I haven't been able to edit it. Can you show how to?
If it's all right with you, let's share your screen.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can do to get rid of that. Because as I always say, if one person has a question, there's generally that's someone else in the class has a question that's similar to that as well.
Hopefully. Sorry, it's telling me it's a disabled screen sharing.
Right, let me see what's going on here. Yes, it is. Now it should be okay. Give it a try. That was this operator error on this side of the internet. That should work now. Yeah, okay. So, okay, so you see in the ribbon, you have a red X and a green check mark. You're actually doing something to that right now. So if we just hit the red X, whatever you were trying to do to it, it will undo, or it will stop that. So now you should be okay.
Okay.
You were editing, actually you were editing that wall. So that's why Revit wouldn't let you do anything else to it. Okay, so you've copied
okay.
it. Now you want to rename it, or have you renamed it yet?
No. So yeah, right click on properties here.
Maybe, let's see. I don't do it that way, but let's see if that works. Okay, yeah. So now you see where it says over in the properties, it says edit type. That's where we're going to edit and duplicate it.
Oh, okay.
So the next thing is duplicate it, and then we'll give it a name, and we'll just call it stacked wall garage house. So we know where it goes. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we can say okay to that. And now you haven't made any changes to it yet because we haven't created the components that we want to substitute into this wall. There's 3 walls we want to substitute. The brick ledge, the bond, and the first floor wall will not have brick on it. Therefore, we need to make a wall that has all of the components in it except for the brick. So let's go to a floor plan. So yeah, your first floor would be fine. Okay. Double click on that. That should pop it up. Okay. Now let's go to your architecture tab. We're going to tell Revit that we want to draw a wall. So we'll click on the wall. Architecture tab wall. Okay. Yeah. Just draw a wall. Okay. That's a stacked wall. We didn't really want to do that. So let's not draw that one. So we'll cancel out. We'll just draw a basic wall. So click on wall again. It'll show you all of the wall types that you have, but let's hit there and it'll show them all now. Let's zoom back up to just a basic wall. So we wanted our brick ledge. So let's draw that brick ledge. Okay. Yep. All right. And now let's draw it over there anywhere. Doesn't matter where. That's good. Okay. All right. Now we're going to hit escape, and then we'll click on that wall that you just drew. And we're going to edit the type. And we're going to duplicate it. And we'll call it brick ledge, no brick. So we'll know exactly what it is. When we look at it in the list, it'll make sense to us. And now let's edit it. We've made a new, we haven't gotten rid of our brick ledge. We've simply made another copy of that, and we're going to edit it now and take the brick away. So let's go over to edit type. And let's preview it so we can see what we have. Preview's on the left bottom. That'll just show it to us. Okay. And then if you scroll up in the box there, you're going to get to the edit button there. Let's edit it. We don't want any brick, so we can just delete that, hit the delete button down below. Yeah, and we don't want the airspace either, so let's delete that. That's what we want. We're good. So we have a brick ledge with no brick. So we'll say okay to that. And we'll say okay to that. And now let's hit escape, escape. And the next thing that we want to draw is our bond. So let's go back to the wall icon. We're still in the floor plan. We're good. We'll go over to the wall and the ribbon. The wall. Yep, we'll just click on wall. And now we're going to pick your bond and put your bond in there on the floor again now. You should have a bond there somewhere. Yep, there we go. First floor bond. Yep, that looks good. Now draw that in there on the plan view somewhere.
Just anywhere is fine.
Yep, anywhere is fine. Okay, now escape, escape. Let's click on that guy. And we're going to edit the type. We're going to duplicate it. And we're going to call it first floor bond, no brick. Okay, say okay to that. We want to edit the structure, so that's okay. Edit the type. And then edit the structure, yep. And then get rid of the brick in the airspace.
Okay.
Starting to make a little bit more sense, I think. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, now we got the last one to do, which is our first floor wall. So did we call that brick stud? Let's see.
I have a question for
Yes.
the first floor bond,
Mhm.
2, no brick. Do we also get rid of the installation?
No.
Oh, you keep the installation. Okay.
Yes. Good question though, because if you're not sure how walls are constructed in a residential situation, that's a good question. How much are we getting rid of? Well, in this case, we're just getting rid of the brick in the airspace. So now what did we put in there? What's that last wall we just put in?
That is the first floor bond, no brick.
Okay, let's draw the first floor now. First floor wall. So we go back to the wall tab. And we're looking for the first floor wall. Yep, and let's draw that in there now.
Does it matter what order or?
No, doesn't at all.
Okay.
Okay, now let's edit this guy. So we'll hit escape, escape. We'll click on the wall you just drew so that it's the active. Now we'll edit that and we'll duplicate it. And we'll call it first floor wall. Guess what? No brick. Okay, and now we can edit that. And what I forgot to do was add the gypsum board. So let's change the brick common to gypsum board. We just click on the word brick common. We get those 3 little dots. We'll click on that and we'll change the material to gypsum board. Yeah, and we'll say okay to that. And then the thickness of that, as I was explaining before, is just 5/8. We don't need the 3 5/8. And there's no airspace, so we can delete that one. Click on the row number 2 and delete it. Okay, that's good. And we'll say okay to that. Okay, now in this particular view, let's go up where it says family and below that it says type. We're going to click on the word first floor wall, no brick. And we'll go first floor bond, no brick. We're looking for that guy now, that one. Okay, and I forgot to tell you to put the gypsum board on there. So let's click on that one. And we're going to insert, very good. It's a finished material and it's the gypsum board and it's 5/8 of an inch thick. Perfect. Okay, and okay. So now we have our 3 different wall types for the wall between the garage and the house, but we haven't actually modified the stacked wall yet. But before we do that, I just want to pause and see if anybody else needs any help.
For the first wall, first floor bond, no brick. What was the last instruction there? Like, what was the material? We had rigid insulation, 2 inches. And then we had the substrate, which was plywood sheathing, 3/4 of an inch.
Huh? And then the next material is the gypsum board. So be 5/8 gypsum board. You want to share your screen and we can watch you do it because it'd be helpful.
Yeah, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Do you guys see it? Yeah.
Yes, we do. So now we want to insert another material. So
Um,
that there's an insert tab down below. Keep going.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, and that's going to be a finish material. So we can change that to finish. And then it's gypsum. So we'll search for the GYP. That'll show us our gypsum board. Yep. I like what I'm seeing. You're navigating very well. And then it's 5/8 of an inch thick. Okay. But I think we're in good shape. Let's say okay to that. And we'll say okay to that. Okay. All right. So we have a section that cuts through all of these materials. Let's click on that section. I click on the line of the section, I right click, and you can also do it that way too. So let's take a look at what you've done here. Let's zoom in on each of those individual. There should be some other walls there. Oh, there they are. Yep, you
They're
see them down
small.
there. Yep. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're dealing with what I call fat lines, and we want to get into the thin line. So at the very top in your quick access toolbar, way up at the top, next to the section icon, if you take a look, go all the way. Yeah, next to that, to the right of that is a
This
click
one?
on that. Yep, and that'll change it to fine lines if you just click on it. There we go. Okay. Yep, that's good. Now, if we zoom in on it, we can see. No, it's still fat line. So click on it again. Yeah. All right. Now we can see everything that you have there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that 2-inch insulation. Yeah. Okay. As long as it's consistent all the way up, that's good. You have a very well insulated house. That's excellent. You'll save. The cost of the insulation is insignificant. The additional thickness, the labor is going to be approximately the same, and the insulation value is very good. So you'll save on heating costs and cooling costs throughout the life of this house. So that's good. I like that. Okay, so we're in good shape so far. Does anybody else need any help?
Yeah, this is Doug. I have not been able to edit my garage wall. When I hover over and click on it, I get the stacked wall, but I don't understand how to get to the component pieces of it to edit it.
Is it possible to see your screen, Doug?
Let's see if I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
after finally copying the wall and renaming it, and I was having problems with that because apparently when you copy it, it's not just a matter of renaming it, you have to duplicate it and then rename it.
Yes, absolutely. Otherwise, you're
Okay.
just renaming the original, and that would not be a
Well,
good thing.
that's what I was having problems with. I was hovering
Okay.
over my two walls and they both had the same name.
Uh,
Okay, so now I've got, well, let me just close the window. All right, so here's my garage wall.
Okay, so we're making the garage house wall. We're actually going to make a wall called garage wall. So we really should rename this just so we don't get confused.
Oh, all right.
So go back to edit type and we'll just rename it.
Okay, so again, I have to duplicate before I rename?
No, we want to use this wall, but we just want to give it a different name.
Okay, because this is what I was doing before and I was ending up with both walls being named the same thing.
Right, because both walls were the same thing to begin with, but now this one is different, right? This is, yeah, okay, that's great. Okay, now we should be good. All right, now
So-
we can leave this and we'll edit
All right, so let me just make sure that they actually have different names. Okay, so now this is highlighted and I'm gonna edit the type, right?
We actually have to, did you make those other wall types, the ones with no brick? Did we make those yet, or do we need to make them
I
now?
haven't made anything tonight.
Okay.
I've just copied the wall.
Okay, let's do it then. Let's
So-
go, so we can cancel out of this. Okay, let's go to your first
Because
floor
what I
plan.
remember from last week was we made components and then we combined the components into a stacked wall, correct?
Absolutely. Gonna
And
do
what
the
I'm
same thing
having trouble
tonight.
with is breaking down this stacked wall into do I have to be breaking down the stacked wall into components? I'm not getting the principle of what we're actually editing here.
Well, this particular stacked wall that you have highlighted now is going to be the stacked wall between the house and the garage. And the difference between the one that's highlighted and the one that isn't is that the one that isn't highlighted is going to keep the brick on the outside because it's an exterior wall. But the wall between the house and the garage doesn't need brick on it because it's an interior wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 3 new components that do not have brick on the wall. So what you want to do,
Okay.
go to the first floor plan. Yep, very good. And what we're going to do is we're just going to draw that.
Do I need to double click on that to see it?
Yeah, try that. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's good. All right. So the wall that you have highlighted right now is the stacked wall, which is your house garage wall. And the other
Okay.
one is the house wall. The first one we
Right.
made it the first night. All right. So what we want to do now is you can hit escape because we don't want to modify this. So if it's not highlighted, the changes that we make will not apply to it. Now we'll go
Okay.
up to the wall tab. You're in the architecture tab, then we'll go to the wall and we're going to tell it, let's click on that stacked wall exterior house architecture wall.
Oh,
Now move your mouse straight down, up a little bit more. All right there. See, if you click on that, it'll show you all of the walls that you have to choose from. And we're going to zoom out or scroll all the way to the top. And the first one we're looking for is your first floor bond. Okay, so we'll take that. And then you just want to draw that on the floor plan view here.
okay, just anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Okay. Now we're going to click on that. And we can duplicate it, edit the type and duplicate it. And we'll call it first floor bond, no brick. Okay. And now we can edit the structure. And we'll take away the brick. Actually, let's keep the brick. Well, let's keep row number 1, but we're going to rename it to gypsum board. So where it says brick common, click on that word. You get 3 little dots to the side. We'll click on that. That'll be our material browser, and we're going to change the material to gypsum, GYP. Beautiful. Now the gypsum board is only 5/8 of an inch thick, so we can get rid of the 3. Okay, and we're not going to have an airspace, so we can click on row number 2 and delete it. And everything else looks good. We'll say okay to that. So now we have our bond without the brick. The next thing we want is our brick ledge without the brick. So we'll go back to our floor plan. I think when this closes, we'll be at your floor plan. Now we're
Right.
going to go over, hit escape because we right now that wall is active, and if we make any changes, it'll change that wall. So we go back
Okay.
to the architecture tab, back to the wall icon, and now we're going to click on basic wall first floor bond. and we see-
Why is it going to modify when I'm clicking on the wall icon?
I don't see that it does that.
It's highlighting the modified.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's thinking that you might want to modify something. But we
All
want
right,
to,
okay, so I guess we're,
and we're
Right.
gonna do the brick ledge, so we looking for your brick ledge. Yep, we'll draw that in there on the floor plan.
okay.
Okay, hit escape, escape, and we're going to select that. You're drawing it still, so there you go. Now, edit the type and we'll duplicate it. And we're going to call it brick ledge, no brick. And what we want to do, I think you're getting the hang of it, is we'll edit this type now. Whoops, got to select it, edit the type. And
Is
we're
it-
not going to have any brick.
Okay, so we're just eliminating the brick layer here, or replacing it with
Uh,
gypsum board like we did before?
No, this is, I'm not going to have the gypsum board. It's not going to have the airspace either. So we can delete those two things.
Okay,
And that means we have one more to do. That would be our first floor wall. So we want to draw that in there. So we go to the architecture tab. And now we're going to do the drop down and we're looking for your first floor wall. Yep, we'll draw that on the floor plan. Excellent. Escape, escape. We'll click on that and edit the type and we'll duplicate it. And we'll call it first floor wall, no brick. All right, we're getting there. Edit the type or edit the structure rather now. We already,
okay, sorry.
yeah, well, that was me. I told you the wrong thing. We're not
Okay.
going to have brick, so we can delete that. Or we can change it to the gypsum board. Maybe that's better. We'll just change it to the gypsum board and make it the 5/8 of an inch thick. And then we'll just delete the airspace. Because brick is an expensive material and there's no reason to put that on the wall that's inside. Although, you know, some people would want that and that's fine too. We'll just delete that. Very good. Now you're in great shape. You have made your 3 walls. Everything else is
Okay.
going to be the same. So who else needs some help?
I have a quick question
Okay.
on the bond, the brick bond.
Uh-huh.
When I created it, it was 8 inches wide. And so I left it at 8 inches because that's what the original bond thickness was.
Uh-huh.
But it moved the exterior face to be in line with the exterior of the concrete stem wall.
Yeah, yes, it did, because we're telling it to line up everything on the outside, aren't we? Yep.
Yeah, so do we make the bond still 8? It doesn't need to be 8 inches. It can be 12 or whatever it needs to be.
No,
correct?
we still want it, because we still want the ledge where the brick would normally sit, but we just don't want any brick there. So we still want a brick ledge. We just don't want any brick on that ledge. So can you share your screen? We can fix that real
Sure.
quickly.
Sure. 1 second here. Here, can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so I copied it and I made the component wall types, and here's my brick, here's my garage wall,
Okay.
garage house wall with the ledge lined up with the exterior.
Yep, which it should not be. So let's fix that. Let's probably the easiest way to fix it is to leave everything the way it is and move the basement wall.
Huh.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
try that. So we'll click on it. We'll edit the type and we'll make the basement wall 4 inches. So the offset for the basement, the 12-inch concrete, the third row or column, yeah, let's try 4 inches and see what happens. We might need to make it a -4 inches, but we'll see what happens there.
Okay, let's see, -4.
Or just click anywhere. It should show it to us. Okay, it's
Well, there it
definitely
is. in
not,
the-
it's definitely not a minus, so we'll make it, we'll get rid of the minus. There we
Okay.
go. That
So
looks
that
really
we-
beautiful to me. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay.
Now, I guess I also have to work on this a bit.
Well, see, now here's the thing. At this point in time, we don't know. Is there going to be a second floor wall at this particular part of the house? Yes or no?
don't
We
know.
don't know because we haven't designed it yet, right? We haven't designed the house. All we're doing right now is we're just building the walls. If there is a second
Okay.
floor wall there and it's exposed to the outside, then it would have siding on it and that wall is correct. If
Okay.
if you're gonna put house on top of the garage itself, then that wall would not have siding. That would just become a regular inside wall, which would have gypsum board on both sides. But we don't know yet because we haven't
don't
designed the
know.
house. So this
So
is
the
fine.
one we haven't, this is the one we haven't edited. The second floor wall is still the same one it was with the
Yep.
original.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. So this is great. This is exactly how we want it to be. That looks perfect. That looks excellent, in fact. Okay, so we say okay to that.
Okay, all right, that's all I really wanted to ask. So,
Yep. Anybody else have a question here? Or do we want to help, or we can go on to the third wall now, which is the garage wall. Unless, of course, somebody else needs some help because we don't want to leave anybody behind. So I'm not hearing anybody say anything. So let's assume that it's okay to go into the third wall, which is just the garage generally does not have a basement underneath it. We simply dig a trench around the perimeter of the garage wall and in the earth, and then we just pour concrete in the earth, and that's what holds up the garage walls. If there's a basement there, then we would have a basement wall there. But in this case, let's just plan on just having a garage that doesn't have a foundation underneath it. So let's, but it is going to have brick on the outside. So let's copy the wall that has the brick. Let's copy that to the left or to the right. And then we're going to duplicate that and we'll make that our garage wall and see what we can do to fix it. Okay, so let's edit the type and we'll duplicate it and rename it. And we'll just call it garage wall. Okay. I like the looks of that. Okay, the garage wall does not have a bond. So we're going to take out the first floor bond. So we just click on row number 4 and delete that. All right. And I think we're in pretty good shape except for the heights. So we'll say okay to that for now. And okay to that. All right. Now that does not have a footing underneath it. So we're going to just click on that and delete that pad footing.
You said the garage wall doesn't have bonds?
There's no bond area because there's just in the garage, we just have a concrete slab. We don't actually have a plywood floor with floor framing. So there's no reason for that bond area because that's where the plywood and the floor joists would tuck into. So in the garage, we don't have that.
So I removed the first floor and the second floor bond?
Nope,
Or
we might have a second floor bond if we have a second floor over the garage. You're the architect, and when it comes, we're getting real close to you designing the house, but you don't know at this point if you have a second floor over the garage or not. Sometimes I need to put part of the house second floor over the garage because I don't have enough space for everything, and sometimes I don't. But at this point, we don't know which the course of action is going to be. So why not just leave what we've already made and we can modify it later if we have to.
okay.
So this is looking fairly good right now, but we're going to put a footing for the garage is only going to go down below the frost line. And generally we can say in Michigan, it's 42 inches. I think in New York, you don't get as much cold weather. So the frost only won't go down below 3 feet in most of New York. So we need to copy your grade level down 3 feet. And you can tell which one it is by simply hovering over it with your mouse and it'll highlight it to tell you. So let's copy that down 3 feet, straight down 3 feet. All right, now let's rename that bottom of BO garage footing. So over in your properties, it says level 8. You can actually go over to your properties and rename the word level 8 in the
Oh.
properties box to just call it BO garage footing. Or you could go over and modify it like you do, like we've done before. Okay, so that is going to be the constraint of the garage wall. So let's click on that garage wall and we're going to change the constraint of it. So no longer does the base go to the bottom of the basement wall. No, you have your constraints right below where you were at. Go back to your properties.
Thank you.
Instead of bottom of basement wall, let's say bottom of garage footing. Look what happens. Boom. Very nice. Okay. Now, we want the, if we can zoom in on that wall a little closer, the brick should go all the way down to the grade. And you notice where it doesn't? So now that what would happen is on the outside of your house, that concrete would be exposed. And we don't want that to happen. So what do we need to do? Let's see, I think we need to increase the height of the first floor wall. So if we make the height of the first floor wall bigger, let's edit the type of this wall and edit the structure. And the first floor wall was 10 feet. Let's make it 11 feet. I'm just guessing here, but let's see what happens, okay? Say okay to that. Now, and say okay to that. And let's see what happens on the, look at that. Look at what happened there, okay? So now your brick goes all the way down to the, yeah, I like that. That's okay. That's very good. Okay, so now they're gonna pour the footing. Then they'll come in and the brick ledge probably would have concrete block instead of concrete there, but that's okay. We're fine with it like that. Then they build a wall on top of it and yeah, everything looks good. So for now, that's fine for your, you have your 3 walls that we need. You have your exterior house wall, you've got your house wall between the garage and the house, and you have your garage wall. Okay, so you got all 3 of them. So let's hold on and see if anybody else needs help. We'll switch the screen to see if anybody else is needing any help there. I'm happy to help anybody out who needs it.
Why can't I, like, I'm clicking on the bottom of the screen and I can get like a coarse level of detail.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it is there. Because it's not showing like the details as much as I want it to.
Okay.
Let me just, but that could just be so like with the concrete hatching, I can't really see it, and the insulation, even though I went here for like the detail level and I pressed fine.
Yes, because really what you're looking at, and you're looking at an elevation there. See, that's your west elevation.
Oh, okay.
So what you're seeing is the edge of the wall. You're not cutting through the wall. But if you go to your section, that will actually cut through the walls. And so then you can see the details of all
Okay.
of the components that are in the wall. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's good. But it looks like your brick doesn't go all the way down to the grade. But what is that? What is that level right there?
This-
Okay, what is that one? Bottom of garage. What's the next one above that?
I think that's grade, but
Okay.
it's just overlapping a lot. So
Well, yeah, but it doesn't, I mean, it may be, but put a dimension in there from the grade to the bottom of the garage footing. It doesn't look like it's 3 feet. Might be, but yeah, there and then the next level down. Yeah, it's only
Oh. feet.
So that's fine. What you want to do is,
Can I
well, there's
just
a
move
lot of, yeah, you
more?
can, yes, there we
Okay.
go. Okay, so that's good. And then we need to add another foot to your first floor wall. So let's click on that stacked wall, that's your garage wall, and edit the type. And we're going to edit this. And the first floor wall, instead of being 11 feet, let's make it 12 feet. Again, I'm just guessing, but I think that might work for us. And we'll say okay. And we'll say okay. We'll reply and then okay. Yeah, okay. So what I did was I added a foot to the wall height. I didn't add any foot to your brick ledge. So what happened was it still used the constraints that you had for the top of the wall and the bottom of the wall, but it shrunk the footing because we added a foot to the wall. The variable is the footing, so it took a foot out of the footing, and then everything is, we got that brick ledge where we want it to be, which is right at the grade. Is that, and that'll start to make a little bit more sense as we go along. All right, so that looks good. Who else needs some help before we go a little bit farther? All right, well, if I'm not hearing anybody, then I think the right thing to do now is let's go to your floor plan, first floor plan. I don't see there, nope, okay, we don't have one. So we go up to the view tab. Let's go up all the way up at the top above the ribbon, there's a view tab.
Oh,
And we're gonna go over to plan views, which is a little farther to the right, not that far, a little bit more to the right, but not much. There you
Okay.
go. Do the drop down in the floor plan. We'll open that up and we'll look for a first floor plan. Yep, first floor, say, okay. What's going to happen now is it's going to make a view of the first floor plan. Okay, and we are there on your first floor plan. Okay, so what we want to do now is we can close the grade tab. You see that one down there at the bottom? If you, yeah, and let's close the west elevation too. We don't really need that. And we probably don't need the section either, so we can close that. But let's do a 3D view. So let's go up to your quick access toolbar and there's that little house. Just click on that. Now we have a 3D view and we have your floor plan. So let's do WT so we can see them both at the same time. Because now what I'm going to ask you to do is simply, I would like you to draw the first floor plan, the first floor wall, the outside wall, and put a wall between the house and put a garage wall in. And just to see what happens. So you want to make sure that you're in your floor plan. The first floor is the active view, first of all. And now you can draw your your wall, which would be your stacked wall. You want to draw the stacked wall. So that's down at the bottom. It says exterior house wall. If you go all the way down to the, keep going, all the way down, way down to the bottom. Keep going. There's still more of that box left to go down. Keep going. Underneath the recently used type at the very bottom of that, you had it, you were there. Now see that below this that you're scrolling, there's a says most recently used type right below where your mouse is, just a little. See that? Those are all the walls that you've just recently used. At the bottom of that list, it says exterior house wall. Do you see it? That's the wall we want to put in. So we're going to click on that. Let's pay attention to the constraints though. The base constraint is not the first floor, it's the basement wall, bottom of basement wall. And the top constraint is top of second floor wall, right? Where it says top constraint. Yeah, let's make sure we have the right level there. Top of second floor wall, unless your walls have, well, let's try that. Top of second floor wall. Second floor top wall, yep, okay. Now, in your first floor plan, let's just start drawing some walls in. You're going to try to draw a rectangle to represent the outside corners of the house. So when you finish clicking there, move your mouse straight down and click again, anywhere. And yeah, see, that's what you're trying to do. Beautiful. Okay, now we've just made your first floor wall, exterior wall, we can delete those other walls. We're just deleting them out of this drawing. We're not you've made those walls and we want to keep them. And we'll get rid of that one too. Okay. Now let's say that the garage is on the left-hand side of the house. So let's click on that wall, and it's not going to be the exterior house wall. Let's do a drop down and make it the garage house wall. Okay. And the constraints of that now, the top of it is fine, but the base, we don't want it to be the, yes, we do. We do want it to be the bottom of the basement wall. So we're good there. Okay. Yeah.
I
Now,
had an error that what I was drawing was too short. It had to be 24 feet at least.
okay, let me just put the garage wall in on this,
Sure.
and then I'll come and we'll share your screen. So we
Okay.
did we've done two walls now. Now we want to draw the third one, okay, which is the garage wall. So we'll go back to architecture and then we'll go to wall and we'll say garage wall. Let's see, that's house wall, garage wall. We just want the garage wall. It is a stacked wall, so we can scroll down through your stacked walls and see what you have there. We
don't think I-
have, oh, you don't have one yet?
I don't know if I have a garage wall, just strictly a garage wall. Let me see.
Yeah, we did want that one. I thought we did. I thought I saw that one. Yeah. All right.
I have exterior. I have this one as a garage wall.
That looks like
exterior
it's the
house
house wall, garage wall. That's the one between the house and the garage. It looks like. I think that's what it is, but I'm not sure. That's a good example of why we want to make sure that we name our walls to something that we recognize. So we're still going to need a third wall, which is your garage wall. So let me explain how to spin this guy around in your 3D view, and then I'll go help somebody else. All right, you already know how to do it. Okay, spin it around, keep spinning. All right, keep spinning and keep going. All right, let's make it realistic because I want to see what your materials are. Fine is good, but the next button next to that would show it in realistic, which will be color. You click on that and say realistic, we can see it in color. Now let's spin it around because there shouldn't be any brick between the house and the garage. And there is. Okay, so we have some issues here that we have to deal with. Okay, because that wall the wall between the house and the garage should not have brick on it. So anyway, all right. So somebody else was having trouble. Let's save this and we'll come back and get you straightened out in just a little bit. It may be just the name of the walls that we have to deal with, but okay, let's go. Who else was having trouble?
The first time I tried to do it, I got an error message that the wall was too short, that it
Okay.
had to be at least 24 feet. I retried it and I think I got it this time. I can share my screen just to.
Okay, great, because that's an important thing. When you're doing a stacked wall, you have to make sure that the constraints are always correct there in terms of the base and the top, because stacked walls are generally pretty high. All right, let's take a look. Look, you know how to spin it around in 3D? Hold this, hold the shift key down and then push the mouse wheel straight down and then move your mouse and it will spin it around for you. Okay. Yeah, all right. So we have our rectangle, but it looks like we have brick on all of the walls. Okay. So we don't want that because the wall that we made that goes between the house and the garage should not have brick on it. So one of those walls, and I don't know which one it is, we're going to assume doesn't have brick on it. So click in the floor plan, click on one of the walls. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, that's going to be the one we're going to change. So when we click on that, what is the name of that? You just called it stacked wall? Is that what you called it?
Yeah, I think I forgot to rename that one to exterior.
Okay, so let's start with that. Okay, so let's click on that. We'll go back and click on that wall in the plan view. Now you can edit the type and you can rename it. You don't have to duplicate it, just rename it. And we're going to call that the exterior house stacked wall. That's fine. So now we know what it is. We will not have a problem with that one. Okay. And that's going to change all of those walls that were called stacked wall. They are now called exterior house stacked wall. Does that make sense what we just did?
Yeah,
Okay, so now let's click on another wall, any one of them, and we're going to change that in the plan view. All right, let's change that to your garage wall. So we're going to click on the drop down and we're looking for your house garage wall. Do you have that? I don't see it. Well, let's,
the garage wall.
it's a stacked wall and it should be it should be called house garage wall. So that we know what that is. All right, let's make it the garage wall. So let's make it the garage wall and let's see what happens. Okay. That is, it's hard to know, very hard to know. So we'll have to take a look at it in section to see what it is. Or we could take a look at it in by editing it. All right. I'm trying to think which would be the easiest. So let's click on the wall, make it active. That's the garage. You didn't make it active yet. So go back and click on it so that it's active. And it's, all right, so that's the garage wall. Let's edit the type and see what's going on there. And we'll look at the properties. Don't duplicate it. Just look at the properties and we'll preview it. Okay. And we'll see what you have there. Okay. That's the actual garage wall and that's what we want it to be. Okay. So now that's good. So we can say okay to that for now because we don't, nothing wrong with that. That's good. But what about the house wall, the wall between the house and the garage? I guess you didn't make that one yet. So
Yeah,
let's-
maybe I missed that one. So should I duplicate the
Yeah,
exterior house?
yep, I would take that one and duplicate it.
Okay,
Okay. So edit the type, duplicate it, and we'll just call it house garage wall, house garage stacked wall. If you want to do that, that's fine. Okay. Now we'll edit the type. We're going to edit the structure. The second floor wall is fine. The second floor bond is fine. The first floor wall, did you make a first floor wall no brick? Let's see if we have that. Yep, so make that one. Then the first floor bond, no brick. And then the brick ledge, no brick. Okay, we'll say okay to that. And now we have the wall between the house and the garage. So that's good. Okay, that's great. Now that section that you have drawn, let's take a look at it. Let's go to that section. Do you know how? Yeah, let's take a look and see what we have there. All right, let's click on that wall that we can see there. I don't know what it's called. Let's see what it's called. House, garage, stacked wall. Okay, very good. That's what we want. Okay, now on the top of this floor plan, that's where we'll put your garage for now. So we're going to draw, we'll hit escape because we don't want to have any kind of active. And now let's go back to architecture and then wall. And this time we'll do the garage wall. Yep. And in the floor plan, just draw, we're going to draw 3 walls this time because one is going to be common with the house. So go ahead and draw one straight up. Click there and go straight up. All right. And then go to the right.
yeah, that was the error message I was
Yep,
getting
because
before.
we didn't pay attention to the constraints. So now we have to pay attention. So that's my fault, really. All right. So, all right, let's see. Wall, it's going to be the garage stacked wall. And the base constraint is going to be did you put a bottom of garage footing? Yep. So we'll make that bottom of garage footing. And the top constraint is going to be the top of the second floor wall. Yep. Okay. Now we can draw it in the floor plan. It should be okay now. There you go. Look at that. And that's great. Now you have your all of your walls in. You have the 3 exterior walls. You have the wall between the house and the garage. and you have the garage walls. So let's look at that in 3D. Let's click on that 3D button. Look at that, spin it around. There you go. You've got all of your 3 different walls in there. Beautiful. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So let's help somebody else out. Who else needs help now? Nobody needs any help?
I
Really?
need help.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Me
I
too.
need too much help.
Let's well, let's help one by one. Ladies first, though. We always go with ladies first. That's a, 67 years old. If I didn't do that, my dad would come back from the grave and kick me, but now it's not politically correct. But anyway, let's do it anyway, if that's all right with everybody.
Hold on, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, so now we needed to make the 3 different wall types. Okay, so that looks like you have, that looks good, except there's still brick. You see how there's still brick down there at the brick ledge? So
Oh, yeah.
let's take a look at that wall. We're gonna edit, no, that's the floor plan. So there you go. You have to make it active. Now we can edit. And let's preview it and take a look at what you got there. That should be brick ledge, no brick, right?
yeah. Hold on, let me see if I actually made a brick ledge. Oh, I did. Brick ledge with no brick.
Okay. So let's click on row number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna, that's 4, go to 5. And then over in the offset column, let's make that 4 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's say, okay, let's see what happens there. See, what we have, we still want that brick ledge on the outside of the house, but we just don't want to put any brick on it. So that's why I had you move the brick over, or the wall over, so that that brick ledge still remains there. So that's good. Okay. Yep, that's great. So we'll say okay to that. And what about the garage wall? That's the 3rd one we needed to do now,
Yeah,
right?
I think I don't think I created like a garage wall. So I
Okay,
think I have to like
so let's
maybe
do it.
wall.
We can, yeah, that's fine. We'll use the exterior house wall. We'll duplicate it. Yeah, you
Well,
have to pay attention to the constraints. So where's the bottom of that? When you go to draw it, let's look at the constraints first. The base constraint should be what?
I think it should be I think for now we can say it's bottom of basement wall.
Yep, that's
Or it
fine.
could be like
Yeah,
bottom
let's
of
leave,
garage.
let's leave it there, bottom of basement wall for now. We'll fix it later. And then the top constraint is what?
I think we said 2nd floor top wall.
That makes sense to me too. Okay, let's draw that wall, and then we'll have to edit it and duplicate it, because that's going to be our garage wall.
So just type in garage wall.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, now we'll edit the structure. Now let's take a look. We still want the 2nd floor. We still want the 2nd floor bond. We still want the 1st floor. We don't need a 1st floor bond because there's no bond in the garage. So we'll delete that. Okay, and let's add another foot to the 1st floor wall. So instead of being 11 feet, we'll make it 12 feet. I'm just guessing. All right, let's say okay to that. Yeah, that looks like it's gonna be okay. All right, so now let's say okay to that.
But I thought like that one didn't have like it didn't have the basement.
Right,
one, right?
so now we'll change the constraints. So over there, instead of bottom of the basement wall for the constraints, we'll make it the bottom of the garage wall. Bottom of garage footing. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Very nice. Okay, so now you have your garage wall, which is right, which you're gonna draw that.
Can I just
No. No,
No?
that wall is that's the garage house wall. That's always going to stay the same. It's the wall between the house and the garage. Now you're going to draw a wall to represent just the outside of the garage. So that's going to be on the left-hand side of the house. So go ahead and say architecture wall. And we want the garage, so we'll pick that one. Yeah.
Garage wall.
Let's pay attention to the constraints. Going to be the bottom of the garage footing. Yep. Top's still going to be second floor wall. Okay. And then draw a rectangle around the left side of that house.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right. I think it's backwards
wait,
though.
hold on. I think,
So
like,
no, everything, don't
have
erase
to-
it. Hit escape, escape. Now hit this, hit those arrows or hit the space bar. Hit the space bar. Yep. And that's going to do perfect. And for all three, for the other wall too, the other garage wall to the left, the one to the left. I don't know about that one because I can't see it, but I can see the one to the left. Zoom out. Go, that's to the right. So click the garage wall that's to the left.
Okay.
And see it's highlighted in your 3D view. Just hit the
Mhm.
space bar because it's just backwards. You know, the bricks on the inside instead of the outside. Now hit escape, escape, and watch what happens. See the bricks on the outside. Now spin the 3D around because we don't really know. I can't tell if it's, we want to see that other wall on the front wall. And it's got the brick on the outside already, so we're great. All right. Now's a good time to save what you've done.
Yeah. Saving right now. Okay. I'm gonna stop share. So you can help someone else.
Okay, who else needs help? Nobody needs help. Okay, so now that we have our 3 stacked walls, I'll take the screen back then. So we have our 3 stacked walls. I'll go to the first floor plan. What I generally say to do right now is to draw what's called a bubble diagram. And basically, it's just to get an idea of, because you're the architect now, and you want to fit the spaces inside of the house that you drew. And you know that it's very simple. Let's see, I don't know which one of these walls, so I'm going to go over here to my view. And okay, so here's the wall that I want to use for the exterior of my house. I've highlighted it. I'll go back to the first floor. It's still highlighted. I'm just going to copy it over to here. And then I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy it over to here and I'll rotate it. That's this rotate command. I'm just going to rotate that 90 degrees. So I'll just type 90 and then I'm going to mirror that. So I'm going to just, and then I'm going to mirror this guy. I'm just drawing lines. I'm drawing lines that it would mirror about. And then I'm going to just try to connect these guys right here just to clean it up for a second. And then there's this command right here called trim extend. I still refer to it as fillet from the AutoCAD days. And I'm just going to trim extend or fillet. And I'm not worried about joining elements right now. And there's my house. Okay. All right. So now if I need more space in the house, I can do that. If I need less space in the house, I can do that. But what I'm going to do eventually is start drawing in actual walls on the inside of the house. And as my house needs to expand or contract, or maybe I'm going to have a notch in it somewhere because I don't need all of that space. So I'll grab this guy, copy him. So my mouse is acting up because when I click on that, it's not actually accepting the copy every time. All right, so let's grab this guy, copy. Yeah, see my mouse is messing up. I push it down really. So I hit that wall. I push this down as hard as I can. Sometimes it accepts it and sometimes it doesn't. So what I'm trying to show here is that I might have a notch in the house. Look at this, it's not accepting my, so let's try TR. So now I'm going to have to use my shortcuts in order to get I don't know what's wrong here. So now something's not right. What could it possibly be that's not letting me fill it? This guy and this guy. Why is it not letting me? I'm trying to show what it would be like if there were a notch in the house. No idea what's wrong with the mouse here. So let's see if that's slamming it on the desk fixed it. Nope, that didn't work. Generally, that makes things worse. All right, so I have no idea why that's not working. But anyway, I'll do it the harder way. Then I'll just drag it back like that. And I'll drag this guy back over here and this guy down to here. And it might be something. All right, so this is what I was trying to suggest, is that we'd have a notch in our house, maybe, as you start to define it a little bit better. Fill it, bing, bing, there we go. Finally, that worked. I'm just suggesting, that might be. But what I want to do now is I want to just draw some circles. So I go up to the annotate tab and I go over to my detail line, and now I can draw some circles. So here's my circle, okay? So I'm going to start first, annotate, detail line, circle. Okay, there's a circle. I'll just drag it and move it over. And that circle is going to represent my garage. What do I want next to the garage? Detail line, circle. Maybe I want, when I come in from the house, maybe I want a laundry room. Okay, so this is going to be my garage. And I'll just label it garage. This is going to be my laundry room, and I'll just label it laundry room. And since the text is, maybe I'll make my circles a little bit smaller then. What I want to do is just grab this guy. There's my laundry room. I'll grab this guy. Okay. And what else do I want? Well, maybe I want a backhaul lab also. So again, detail line.
Excuse me, how do you
Circle.
do the text?
All right, I'm going to put text in right now for this. I'm going to make this the lavatory, the backhaul lab. So in your quick access toolbar, again, you have this little A. So we click on that, and then you click anywhere you want that text to be, and I'm just going to call that LAV and click anywhere. So give that a try. Tell me if that worked for you. Go
Yeah.
over. Yep. And that's it. We're just. And what we're trying to do is, got to get rid of this guy.
Professor, when I
Okay.
click on detail line, I'm not getting options to draw shapes. What?
Annotate, detail line.
Annotate,
You should get
detail.
over. You're not getting a draw section over here in the ribbon. Annotate, detail line.
Detail line, I'm not seeing it, no.
All right, so hit escape, start again, annotate, detail line.
Detail line. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Circle.
So that's what I would like you to
Okay, got it.
spend, just 5 minutes, just playing around with how do you want your floor plans rooms to relate to each other. You would probably want the kitchen close to the garage, not on the other side of the house. But some people have said, well, I want the kitchen on the other side of the house from the garage. But generally, you pull in with the car with the groceries. You want to be able to unload that into the kitchen. So, and we're just trying to, what is the relationship between these guys? So there's my kitchen. I have a laundry room. What about a dining room? Well, maybe the dining room should be next to the kitchen. That would make sense. So I can copy that circle or draw it again. And maybe I just want my dining room right there. Okay, I'll copy the text over and rename it.
If I want to edit the font or the size of the text, where do I do that?
So when you highlight the text itself, then in the properties box, you have the ability to select what other type texts are available there. And if you don't see something that you like, for example, I have 1/4" Arial, then simply we go back and we edit the type, duplicate it, and I might call it 1/8 of an inch. And then I might want it to be a different style. I like comic. So I'm going to say 1/8 comic, okay? Then I've duplicated it. I've given it a new name. So I'm going to change the height from text size from 1/4. These are the properties. I'll change it to 1/8. Then I don't want it to be Arial. I want it to be comic. So I'll click on the text font and click on that until I can come up with comic, and click there and say, okay. And now my text is 1/8 inch comic. So you click on your text and then you click on the down arrow and you can have it, whatever you see, you can change it to, or you can make a new one by simply editing the type, duplicating it, renaming it, and then changing the properties of it in the type properties box here. Does that make sense?
Okay,
Yeah, simple. Okay, so I don't want that to be the kitchen. I want it to be the dining room. All right, whoops. Okay, but I want all of my text now to have to be this property. So I come over to the modify tab and I see these little, in the clipboard area, I've got this little paintbrush. I'm going to click on this guy and then I'll click on all my other text and they'll all change right away to what I clicked on first of all, which was this text, which is my comic text. All right, what about a breakfast nook? I might want that too. So I'll copy this guy. I'm going to say I want a breakfast nook over here. I'll copy the text up to there. And that's what I'm trying to do, is simply change the relationship of the circles to represent the way that I want the house to flow. So it, generally if a client comes in and they talk about the things that they want in their new house, then this is my starting point. And it might be just 5 minutes just to kind of get a visual idea of where I want these spaces to relate. And it never works out exactly. So don't think that you're doing something that's written in stone or cast in stone. The beauty of this program is we can make all kinds of modifications and changes to it as we go along. And I always do, that it never works out exactly like I think it's going to work out. I'm just trying to put a graphic transition from the words that the clients have told me, or in this case, from the thoughts that you have in your mind, to a bubble diagram on paper, just to have an idea where things are going to go. And the relationships may be the same, but things don't. When I start laying things out in Revit, it's not going to. I'm not going to get it right the first time. I'm going to have to fine tune and fine tune and fine tune. I put a room in and find out that there's no way to get into that room. So then I have to put a hallway or a doorway or something somehow to get into that space and work from there. But this is a good starting point, just in order to get starting someplace, and then we move on. Definitely we move on from that. So spend a couple minutes just playing around with the relationships, and then we'll move into actual. I'll show you, how we do start transitioning into laying things out in Revit. But I think let's see, class starts at 6, 7:30. Yeah, so we're like at a breaking point anyway. So I have a new puppy. So I'm going to take a 10-minute break just to walk him outside so that he has an opportunity to use the earth instead of the new carpeting. So anyway, I'm gonna pause the program, the recording. So please remind me when we get back. All right, so basically, I just did a quick sketch of how I thought, we have a garage, we come in, we might want to have a back hall lab. Maybe the laundry room should be accessible from the kitchen. I got a breakfast nook, a dining room from the kitchen, and maybe I should have a great room. I'll have some kind of foyer, some stairs are going to be somewhere, but this is a good start. And that's the kind of thing that I would be looking to do just to begin with, just have some idea of how the rooms are arranged. If the client wanted a master bedroom on the first floor, obviously that would be a different arrangement there. I might put the master over here on the opposite side of where the garage is. Then for some reason the master might be in the front of the house. I don't know why. Usually I'd try to put that in the back, but there might be some kind of reason that the master should be in the front. So I would show that up in the front. So is anybody having trouble just doing a real quick relationship diagram, which I call a bubble diagram, for this next step? Okay, so notice that it's starting to get cluttered. I said, that this work doesn't necessarily look good, but if I want to present something, I may only want to present the floor plan that I'm working on. This is the camera, so I'm going to grab that camera and put it over here. This camera's fine because it's showing that side. This camera's fine because it's showing this side. But this camera was kind of inside of the house. All right, so here's what I have so far. I don't know what I want to keep from what we did as an example and what I don't. So I just grabbed all of these walls and I put them as part of the section through here.
Professor, I'm having trouble just moving walls. What tab or command do I need to be in to move a wall?
Well, certainly the move command, which is up in the ribbon. You see this icon right here?
Okay, so we've got modify and move. Do you click on the wall first or the move command first?
Click on the wall and then click on the move command, and that will allow you to move it. But also with the move command, if you just hold your mouse down, you can drag it too, if that's what you want to do. I've clicked on it. I'm holding the mouse.
What happens to me is, I click on the wall to move it, and I get a dimension, but I don't.
Okay, let's have a look.
All
I'm
right,
gonna stop sharing.
Okay, I guess I was expecting to see the wall move with my mouse, but so if I want to move it a specific distance. Okay, all right. So I'm highlighted, I click move. You have to click move every time you want to move it, right?
Well, you have to tell Revit what you want it to do. So yeah.
Okay.
So we can't see your screen if you're
All right.
going to share it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so
yeah.
So say I want to move this wall and connect it to the other wall instead of just kind of moving it around in space. What would I do?
Well, there's where I would use that trim extend command or the fillet command. So over to the right, you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, click on that. Now click on the two walls. There you go.
Okay. All right, but if I just want to move it.
Okay. Hit escape. I can see that you're in a command.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Now just click on the wall.
Actually, is escape undo? Is that the same as undo?
No, I just wanted to get out of a command. I could see that
Okay.
you were in that trim extend command.
Right.
Because that little icon was next to your mouse cursor. But now just
if you want to undo something, is that Control Z? Is that the right way to do it, or is that?
Well, there's the undo and the quick access toolbar too.
Where's that?
go all the way to the top and then over to the left, you see the little arrow there that says undo. That's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or if the other one is redo, so if you undo or you went too far, you can redo.
Okay. Are there keyboard commands for those as well?
Hover over top of it, you said it already, Control Z.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
And
all
then
right.
the other one, what is that? I don't even know what the other one is.
Control Shift Z, I guess. All
Okay.
right. Okay, so if I just want to move that wall and I want to move it, say a specific dimension.
Yep, you're using your mouse
good.
right now to show the direction and use your
Okay.
keyboard to tell the distance. So type whatever
Okay.
distance you want to move it. And it just moves
Okay.
it that distance.
All right. Now, if I wanted to move it, say if I just wanted to match corners, if I wanted to move it, and I wanted to take this corner and put it to the next corner.
Yeah, well,
Is
if
there
you
a way to
use
do that?
Yep, but if you use the move command, it's only going to go horizontal or vertically. Okay.
Oh,
So, and then you have to move it a second time. So you can line it up there.
if-
Go ahead, click there.
so if I hover over the edge, then it'll move to there, but then I have to do it.
A
So,
second
so the
time,
move command is only orthogonal.
if you want to do that, but you can drag it too. So now just drag it.
Okay, now it automatically filleted? Is that it?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
it's generally going to clean itself up, but let's do Control Z and we'll undo that. And then we'll undo it again to get the wall back over where the other thing was, where it was before.
Okay. Okay, so the wall is highlighted.
Yeah, I want to move it back even farther to the right where it was before. Just drag it over. You
Okay.
can just drag it. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the move command. You have it highlighted, go up to move. Now let's click the corner of the wall. You're gonna get that little box that'll tell you that you're at the endpoint. Okay,
Okay,
now let's try to get the endpoint over there at the other side. Let's see what happens, if it'll let us do that or not. No, see, it's only gonna go orthogonal. I don't know how to get
Yeah.
out of that. So I don't know how to do that. There might be a command, somebody figures it out, let me know, because that would be very helpful.
okay.
But generally, this is a two-step move if you're gonna do it that way.
I see.
But now hit escape. You're out of your command, and we should be able to just drag that wall from that corner. If you click on it, then, yeah, let's see, can we grab that corner? Nah, it's not letting us do that
No.
either. Nope, okay, nope, can't do it. Now, so here's what we'll do. We'll try it this way. Use the align tool. So up in the modify section of the ribbon, look in the bottom of the ribbon are the words. It says modify. It says
Yeah.
view. Okay, now go up. You're gonna stay in that part of the ribbon. You want to do the the left corner, top corner of that is the align tool right there. Click on that.
Okay,
Now go down to the wall that's horizontal and click on the end of that wall. See that? Click there. See, you've
Okay.
highlighted that. Now go over to the other wall and click there. Go ahead and click right there
okay.
and watch what happens. Now it's aligned it that way.
Oh, okay.
Then you can clean
So
it
you
up.
could do the same thing, I guess, here and here.
Yep.
And and it's gonna automatically fill at that corner. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. All right.
All right.
Anybody else have a question before? I just want to show you how I would start actually laying out the house now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Mine might be kind of similar. I got the error message, highlighted walls overlap. One of them may be ignored when Revit finds room boundaries. And it says use cut geometry to embed one wall within the other.
Wow. Okay, let's take a
It
look
kind
at
of
it and
looks
see what
like
it says.
So it went away, but I'm not sure if this is it. Can you see those little protrusions there?
Yeah, that's probably your, Yeah, that's okay. I wouldn't worry about that for now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I took a screenshot. This is,
All right, so let's see what it
so it
says.
said,
Highlighted walls overlap. Okay, one of them may be ignored when Revit finds room boundaries. Use cut geometry to embed one wall within the other. Okay, so first of all, highlighted walls overlap. Okay, so that's fine, not a big deal. What was the rest of it? Oh, so if
oh,
we're,
use cut geometry to, it went away after I was done drawing it. Does it look okay now, or?
yeah,
is that-
sure, it looks fine, looks great.
Oh, okay.
I would change it to fine resolution down at the bottom. You have that option. The
Hmm.
down at the bottom of the plan view, you have, go to the left, couple more icons, one more, keep going, one more, right there. Back one. That's the scale. Right next to the scale is fine resolution. So click on the box that's to the right of that scale.
Oh,
Yeah, and say fine resolution, because we want to be able to see all of the detail of your walls. See, now we can see all the details of your walls, which is what we want. Yeah, that looks great.
okay. There's not like a weird overlap there or something.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that looks great, actually. Looks great. So anyone else have a question or need some help before we, I want to just show you how I start. All right, let me share my screen then. Go back to there. So this is not really necessarily how I would start. I would just start with, usually I start with the garage. Okay, so I know where the garage is going to be, the bottom left corner. I'm just going to delete all of that because I don't really need it yet. So I'm looking for the garage wall. I don't know which one of these it is. So I'm going to close all of my inactive tabs because I don't want to use a lot of the processing power of my computer. And then I'm going to go to this view. I hover over the line, I right click and I say go to view. So I'm looking for my garage wall. And here's my garage wall if I don't have a second floor. Here's my garage wall, again, without a second floor. And let's see, okay, here's a garage wall with a second floor. So I'll use that one. So if I highlight it, now it's highlighted here, and I go back to my floor plan, it's also highlighted there. So I'm going to just copy that, and I'll just copy it over to here. So there's my, I see where the brick is on that side, so I'll make that the back of the garage. And then I'm going to use this mirror command. And what it is Revit wants me to draw an imaginary line, which represents the mirror axis. So I'm going to draw 2 points, 1, 2. I've created a line. Revit mirrored that object about the line, that imaginary line that I drew. So now if this is the garage, I have the brick on the back wall, the bricks on the outside. On the front wall, the bricks on the outside. I'm going to copy this guy over to here, and it's telling me, hey, your walls line up on top of each other, which is okay because I'm going to rotate this guy now. So I hit the rotate. It's going to grab the center of the wall. I'm going to click one point, and I'm going to use the mouse to show the direction I want it to rotate, but I'll use the keyboard and I'll type 90 to tell it what angle I want it to be. Okay, so now there's my garage walls. Okay, and I say, okay, well, how many car garage do they want? Well, I live in Michigan, and I live in West Bloomfield, Michigan. And if I proposed a 2-car garage for a client in this town, they would fire me immediately. A 3-car garage is a minimum, and 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever, because we are the Motor City. People have a lot of cars here. So a 3-car garage could be 20 by 30 would be the minimum size, but we probably want it to be a little bit bigger. So maybe I'll make it from front to back. I might make it 32 feet. So I'm going to grab this, see this dimension in the quick access toolbar. I'm going to make sure that it's going to wall faces. You can have center of the core or wall center lines, but I want it to go to wall faces, so it'll automatically grab the inside face of those walls. Okay. So now I have 21 foot 6¼ is what I've actually drawn there. And I want Revit to change the dimension to say 32 feet. I don't click on the dimension. I click on the object that I want Revit to move in order to make the dimension what I tell Revit to make it. So I'm going to click on this wall. And because it's a stacked wall, I have to activate the dimensions. So I click on activate dimensions. And now look at what it does. It activates that dimension. So I can click on the dimension and I'm going to say 32. Revit made the distance between these two walls 32 feet by moving the wall that I told it to move, which was the one that I highlighted. Okay. If you just click on this, it's not going to allow you to actually, you can change the value of it, but it's not going to change the dimension. Okay. So now I've got a pretty good inside dimension. I want a wall here too, but this is the wall that's between the house and the garage. So again, I'm going to go back over to that view. Well, I have it here in the tab, and I'm looking for that wall that's between the house and the garage. It's going to be a wall that doesn't have brick on it. Let's see if I can find a wall that has a basement, but no brick on it. Here we go, right here, see that? Now that doesn't have a second floor. Maybe I can expand this out a little farther. All right, I'll use that one. Here's one. Oh, that does have brick. All right, we'll use this guy. See, there's no brick on this wall. So I'm going to highlight it so I can see when I go back to the floor plan. There it is. I'm going to copy that from here over to here. You've made this wall, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And now I have my inside wall between the house and the garage. And I'll put another dimension in there from the face to the face. And let's make it 22 feet. Now, if I want to move this wall to make it 22 feet, then I would click on this wall. If I want to move this wall to make that dimension 22 feet, I would click on this wall. So I'm going to do that. Click on this wall. It's a stacked wall. That's only stacked walls have to have the dimensions activated. By that, what I mean is when we start putting in regular walls, we won't have to put that. We won't have to click that activate dimension. So 18, let's make it 22. Okay, now I've pretty much laid out my, I can clean this up for now if I want to with the trim extend. And it may work, it may not. My house probably isn't going to line up exactly there. But anyway, that's my beginning point. I've started my garage. So I'm going to save it because I like what I have so far. And I'm going to pause here and let you lay out your garage using the two walls that we just made. Your exterior garage wall and the wall that's between the house and the garage. And you can make these dimensions anything that you want it to be, but that's how we're going to start. Is it the easiest thing is the garage? You know, there's no question that that garage is going to work for a 3-car garage. So if anyone's having any trouble, we'll share your screen, but give it a try, see how it works out.
Is there a reason that you use the copying and rotating instead of the drawing that we used the first time?
Yes, and the reason is that the constraints, then I would have to take the time to actually constrain it. I'd have to tell it the top of the wall and the bottom of the wall. Whereas when I'm copying an existing stacked wall, the constraints are already there. But if I wanted to, then I would say, okay, that's a garage wall house 3. Then I would say, okay, draw that wall over here, and I would have to set the constraints up here, the base constraint and the top constraint, and I'd have to change those. I just find it easier because I have these walls already built. I don't have to deal with the constraints. And you notice I'm not getting those error messages, but if I tried to put this wall in and the constraints didn't work, then I would have the error message too. It says, okay, you're trying to fit a 12-foot high wall in a 10-foot high constrained area. It's not going to work. So that's the reason why I do it. But you don't have to. If you want to draw your wall, you know what it's called. If you want to draw it and put your constraints in, that's fine too. And that might be how you have to do it because you don't have maybe you don't have those walls already drawn over there to copy from. This is a template that I use to start out with, so I don't have to make those walls every single time.
How do you change the dimension size again? Like,
Can we share your screen? I'll walk you through it.
okay.
Okay.
Basically, I
So
would change this.
yeah, Revit wants to know which wall you want it to move in order to get that dimension to whatever you want it. Do you want to move the left wall or the right wall?
So
Okay,
I wanna
so-
move one.
That one? Okay, now you have to, because it's a stacked wall, you have to go up underneath the ribbon where it says activate dimensions and click on that. And now you can click on the 2410 and make it whatever you want. And Revit's going to move the wall that you have highlighted to make the dimension whatever you want it to be. So you have 24 feet, 0 feet. You have to change that to inches.
Okay.
There you go. So that's a nice dimension for a garage, 24 by 32, plenty of room in front or behind. You're not gonna have to worry about the cars not fitting and not being able to walk in front or behind them. That's a nice thing. So that looks good so far.
I noticed that when we did align dimensions, there seems to be a default to where it latches onto the wall.
Yes.
Does, if you know, for instance, if right now I'm measuring between two of the exterior walls, and it looks like it goes to the face of structure. If I wanted to have, while we're laying this out, I wanted to do, a dimension that was inside face of walls and then change it to a rational dimension. How do I overcome those defaults?
Do you
Let's
want me to
share your
sharing?
screen. Yeah, let's share your screen and we'll take a look at what you're trying to do.
Okay. Just take me a minute here.
That's fine. We got plenty of time.
Okay. So right now, I mean, I'm not doing the garage right now. I've got 3 walls of the house.
Okay.
And so I just rationalized it from some odd dimension to 60 feet. Now,
Okay.
if I wanted to have the inside clear dimension 60 feet, how would I do that?
So go up to your dimension.
To the aligned dimension?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
And see below the ribbon, you're telling it to go to the wall center line. So click
oh,
on
I see,
that
okay.
and just say wall faces.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Now that's going to pick the face of the wall and the other face of the wall. And then click anywhere to place it. There you go.
Okay,
So now you have your interior face-to-face dimension.
okay. So if I wanted that inside clear dimension to be 60, then I would, so I would click on that and then I would
No.
activate dimensions?
Well, right now you're in a dimensioning command again. So
Oh, okay.
escape,
All right, I have
escape.
to- Okay,
Now click on the wall.
okay,
So you just told Revit, that's the wall I want you to move.
got it. Okay. So now I can make that 60 feet if I want to.
Yep,
Okay, got it.
perfect. Yeah, that's
Thank
very
you.
nice. Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
All right. So how we doing? Is anyone else having any kind of trouble? Because if we got the garage done, now we can move on to the inside of the house if you want to. But I don't want to rush anybody. We have a little bit of time here before the class ends to do to get some help at this point if anybody needs it. So don't feel like you're slowing the class down because you're not. We're actually ahead of what I would say is the normal progress in this class. I would say that generally it takes us 2 classes to get through the stacked walls. And we got through the stacked walls, the 3 stacked walls in a class and a half, which is very, very, well, that speaks volumes about the people in this class. That's good because it usually takes longer. So we're ahead of schedule. So not to what I guess this is a long monologue to say, if you have any questions and you want to ask them, please feel free to do it now. Don't feel like you're slowing the class down because we're really ahead of schedule.
I do have one question.
Okay,
Maybe I could share my screen, just show you what I was trying to do.
absolutely.
Here we go. Over here in my garage, I worked it out. I want just, 28 by 28 is fine for now.
Okay, that's good.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the
when
key
I-
word for now, because you might change it or leave it. It doesn't. It's fine either way. It's easy to change. Okay,
Okay.
let's see what you got.
So what I did was I, activated this, activated the dimensions, moved it up to 28 feet. And then I got this, where my garage house wall extends past the face,
Uh-huh.
because obviously that's what's there. Maybe I could spin this to show.
Well, I see exactly what you're saying, but if you spin it, maybe some other people would have a understanding of what you're speaking about. You want that wall that's between the house and the garage to stop at the garage. You don't want it to continue outside because that's now you have an interior wall on the outside of your house.
Right.
So let's
Um,
click on, well, go ahead, ask your question.
Well, I was going to ask, how do I solve that? I mean, I know I can pull this up here, but then I got a gap.
Well, yeah, so let's pull it up because we know we don't want it there. So let's move it back to where we do want it.
Let's see.
Yeah, just drag it even farther and we'll just leave it there for, yeah, that's
Okay.
fine for right now. Okay.
Okay.
So the wall that you want where the gap is on the outside of the house is going to be the same wall that is the outside of the house wall. So
Okay.
let's click on that wall that your mouse is close to, and we're just going to copy that down just a little bit. So let's just copy it down. All right, now let's rotate it 90 degrees.
Rotate.
Yeah, you could just type 90, it'll rotate it 90 degrees. It's grabbing the center of the wall, so you're not going to be able to see it right now. You have to zoom out. All right, let's drag it over to where you want it to be, close to where you want it to be. Now let's take a look at it just to see, is the brick on the outside or the inside? I can't tell from this distance. So let's zoom in on it and see where the brick is. All right, that looks good. The brick's on the outside. So let's use the trim extend to clean those two walls up. Now we always click on the part that we want to keep. You're going to click that. That's what part you want to get rid of. So yeah, now that's the part you want to keep. So click on it and then click on the other wall. Yeah, okay, so that should not have should not have done that. I'm not sure what's
Maybe
going
I
on.
used, maybe I hit the,
No, I think everything's fine there.
well, I think I may have hit the interior wall. No, that's not it. So I click this wall, the one I want to keep.
Keep, yep, and then the other wall. That should line those two up. Yeah, okay, so something weird's happening. Something very strange is happening, which I don't understand. But anyway, so hit escape, and we're going to click on that wall. Well, we didn't want to undo that, but that's okay.
Oh,
Hit it.
okay.
That's all right. Just hit escape. We can always do it again.
Oh.
So hit escape, and let's click on the wall that you just put in there.
Okay.
And you can drag the top of it. Let's drag the top of it down so that it touches the garage wall. Yeah. It'll clean itself up when you click there. Yeah, okay. So that looks good. There's a weird thing going on so you see what's happening at the end of that wall. For some reason, the footing is not right. See, that footing should still be the same depth as the other part of your, I'm not sure why it did that.
He also seems to be losing his studs.
Yeah, well, actually all right, well, let's see. Now, how are we going to deal with this? Let's do the fillet again, or the trim extend to clean up that other corner. Yeah, that's that and the other one. Yep, we're going to click on that and that. Let's see what happens. All right, unjoin elements. That's fine. This is all right. So that looks better. Yeah, now that's looking better. Okay, we can clean up that. We can clean that up a little bit later. I'm not worried about that. Okay, so that's giving you what you want, though. Okay, what are we doing here?
I was just trying to trim it again, and it seemed to go nuts. So okay, we'll do something else later.
Yeah, now the other wall that you have there is the garage house wall. Let's drag and pull that down to where you want it to be. That should come down to, yeah, about there. That looks pretty good. And that's unjoin elements is fine for now. That we don't have to worry about that. We'll come back and clean it up later because things are, oh no, that wall went too far, didn't it? Look at it, went all the way down to the front. All right, so we'll click on the wall. That wall we can leave alone. Let's click on the other wall. And there's a little dot. You see that little dot? Right click on top of that dot. And we're going to say unjoin, disallow join. So we're not going to let it join. And now you can just drag it down and get it kind of where you want it to be. And it's not going to join anything. Okay, that's better. Okay. All right, that's good. Unjoin the elements. So now you know that you want if the wall that you have highlighted is in the right location as far as where you want it to be, then you know that the little wall that you just put in on the outside of the house, really the gypsum board should line up, shouldn't it? So let's zoom in there real close and we're going to align the gypsum board because that's the first thing we want to do. I don't know what there's a lot of lines in that wall that I'm not sure what are we looking at. Okay, yeah, okay, I see the gypsum board. So the wall between the house and the garage is assumed to be in the right location. So let's leave that alone. So we're going to go up to the ribbon where it says we're going to use the align tool, which we're almost at. Go back to the left and then up a little bit. One right there. Click on that. Now we're going to click on the outside face of the gypsum board of the wall between the house and the garage. So move your mouse up, click right there. Now click on the gypsum board of there. Yep, of that wall. Yep, okay. So okay, unjoin the elements again. Yeah, okay, so now the gypsum board lines up. And we can really, we can worry about cleaning it up later, because I wouldn't worry about it right now, because you're probably going to move these walls as you start laying out your house. So for right now, I would not be concerned about the fact that these need some attention, because if you go in and clean them up right now, then you move them, there might be a need for attention again. So I wouldn't worry about it right now. But we'll clean it up later. All right, so that looks good. That looks really good. You've got your, yep, yeah, that looks really good. You got your exterior wall, and you got your garage, and you have all your walls there. That's great. Now you can keep working away. And you put the master on the first.
Okay.
Oh, it's a ranch house. Okay, so what's going to go on the second floor? You got all the bedrooms and the master and all that. Would you still
Don't know
have?
yet.
Yeah, you have but remember, you have 2-story walls here, so we're going to have to, if you want to do a ranch house, we're going to have to take away all of the second floor walls, because there wouldn't be anything up there, right? Which is fine.
Gotcha.
That's fine, but that's what you want to do. That's okay. So I'm just kind of warning you. But all right, I'll take the screen back unless somebody else needs some help. Okay, so I don't have any exterior house wall yet, so let me go back to I'm trying to find that exterior. Let's say this is my boy right here, okay? Back to the first floor, I can see it. I'm gonna copy it over to here. Not worried about where it is. And I'll use that mirror command. So now I have the back of the house, I have the front of the house. Maybe the front of the house will extend like that. And then I want to copy this. I'm gonna copy this guy over here and then rotate him, because I want to get my outside wall here. All right, that looks good. Then I'm going to have over there as well. So I'll just, for right now, I'll just clean those up. All right. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing that we did before. So this time I'll copy this wall and copy from here to here. And I don't want it to be that long. I don't want it to have a problem connecting, but look at it, it's the brick. See the bricks on the right-hand side, and here I would want it to be on the left. So I'll click on the wall. I could hit the space bar or these arrows. Now they're looking better because the brick's on the other side, and I'll just drag it over to where I want it. So notice when I drag the wall, I can drag it diagonally, but when I move it, it usually, I want the brick on the outside, and I want the gypsum board to line up. So I'll use my align tool. I'll click on the gypsum board and the gypsum board. Now my gypsum lines up, and I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to take this guy right here and just drag him up, not all the way, but just a little bit. And now let's see if I can clean these two guys up. Yep, that worked fine. And my gypsum board lines up here and here. So I'll just take this guy and drag him back. There we go. Look at how nice and neat that cleaned it up. So that's why I say don't worry about it if it's not cleaned up right now, because we'll come back and make it later. It's what the point is, that it can be done. And then I'm just going to grab this guy and I just wanted to check to make sure I was still recording, because you'll probably want to come back and look at this. All right, so now I'm going to mirror this guy. And it's telling me that your walls overlap, which is fine because they do. So now I'll drag this guy straight back to there and drag this guy straight back to here. Let's see what happens. Well, that cleaned up pretty nicely, didn't it? And now I'll use my trim extend, and that got cleaned up pretty nicely too. So I like what I've got so far. Let's see. I dragged that outside of the ribbon. All right, so I'm going to save what I have because I like it. And now the next thing to do is I want to put in walls on the inside of the house, but we haven't made that yet. So I want an inside wall. It's going to have gypsum board on two sides and studs in the middle. So architecture, wall. I can take a typical wall, which might be the see, I already have it made. I'm trying to, okay, generic 8-inch wall. Okay, I'll take that wall. All right. I'm going to edit the type. I'm going to duplicate it and I'll call it the 2x4 INTERIOR wall. Okay, 2x4 interior wall. Okay for that. And then my structure is going to be 2x4. So I'll just make that the softwood lumber. And that is 2x4 is going to be 3.5 inches. Okay. Now I want to put gypsum on both sides. Insert, insert. I'm going to make this one down to the bottom. Let's take a look at what I have here. Oh, it doesn't like that because I used the zeros. All right, so I'll change this guy again back to softwood lumber. I didn't change the thickness of those other two insertions. So Revit didn't like that. So I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to go insert, insert. And this guy, let's see, by category, by category. I'll use 5/8 gypsum board. So the thickness of that's going to be 5/8. And the thickness of this one is going to be 5/8. And then I'll change it to my gypsum, GYP. And I'll change that to my gypsum. All right, now let's preview it. Yeah, okay. So I like the preview because look what happened. I still haven't got it in the right place yet. Softwood's in the right spot. Structure isn't. The gypsum wallboard isn't, so I'll move it down. Now it is. Now that looks good. I'm going to make my gypsum one more. I'm going to put the core boundary between my softwood lumber. So I'm going to bring that guy down. Okay, so and this will become a finish. That's and this is a finish. Oops. All right, let's take a look at it. Finish, gypsum board, 5/8. Structure, softwood lumber, 3.5. Finish, gypsum, 5/8. All right, so that's what you want to do for your interior wall, assuming that you want to use 2x4 studs. You might want to use 2x6s. You might want to use metal studs, which would have a different dimension. You're the architect and it's entirely up to you as to what you want to do. We're hopefully not going to actually build the house that we draw here. So if you decide that you want your structural members to be any dimension is fine, whatever you decide, because you're the architect. But if you don't pick a standard size and you actually build the house, you're going to have some problems. You're either going to have to pay a premium price for the non-standard dimensional size that you specified, or you're going to have to use a different standard size and change everything. So, but like I said, this class is just learning how to do it. So we've made our wall. We call it our 2x4 interior wall. I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to put my first wall in here. Architecture, wall. What kind? 2x4 interior. Where does it start? First floor is the base constraint. Up to top of the set first floor wall is the top constraint. And then I'm just going to put it in. Okay, there it is. I didn't pay any attention to where it's located because what is that room? Okay, that's going to be a laundry room. So I would put my dimensional line in here. And I say, okay, how wide do I want my laundry room to be? I want 2-foot counter and a 4-foot walkway, so that's 6. And I want a 2-foot island, so that's 8. And I want another 4-foot walkway, so that's 12. And then I want a 2-foot aisle or 2-foot counter, so that's 14. So this should be 14 feet. So notice I don't have to activate the dimension now because it's not a stacked wall. So I'll make it 14 feet. Okay. So now what I was talking about is I'm going to have an island. I'm going to have a countertop that comes around like this. Then I'm going to have walkways on both sides of an island in the middle. Let me draw that real quick just to make sure that makes sense. So I'm going to put in a line here. I'm going to use the offset of 2 feet. So it's going to, Revit's going to draw a line 2 feet away from wherever I draw the line on the screen. So there we go. All right, so that's going to be my 2-foot countertop. Then I'm going to copy that over 4 feet for my walkway. Then I'm going to copy that over 2 feet for my island. And then I'm going to copy that again 4 feet for the walkway. And I should have, if I did my math correctly, I should have 2 feet left for the other countertop. So 4 feet. And then I'll just measure that with this measuring tool from here to there is 2 feet. I did my math correctly. Okay, so that's what I was trying to calculate. I have a countertop, a walkway, an island for folding, and I have a walkway, and then I have another countertop here. So I just try to calculate where I wanted my wall to be to get that in there. All right, so I got my first wall in there, and oh boy, I don't have anything else here. So let's go back this way. I'll put a wall in here. Now this is a nice feature that is, I'm going to right click on top of that wall and say create similar. All right, and now I'm just going to draw that. It just created another wall for me. I don't have any idea how far I want this to be. So again, I have to do the math. Or I can just draw it in there. I'm going to use a 2-foot offset from this wall. There's my first 2 feet. Then I want this guy to go back. I'll copy him 4 feet for the walkway. And then maybe a 6-foot island. That's a nice big island. Okay, so I'll say 6 feet. And then maybe I just want, maybe I'm not going to have countertop there. So I'll put in a dimension here to here. And I want that to be 4 feet. So I'll click on that wall and just change that to 4 feet. So, all right, so I have my reference lines for my laundry room. And this might change or it might not, but I've got that in there. This is what I'm going to do. It's obviously it's more than a laundry room, but it might be a craft room or a wrapping room. Also, you know, the kids might go in there to work on their crafts. Dad might use it as a workshop. Sexist comment, but mom might use it as the laundry room. Okay. Or, you know, the housekeeper will use it as a laundry room, or dad to get myself, get the foot out of my mouth for the sexist comment that I just made. Dad might go in there and use it as a laundry room too. So that, there we go. So anyway, so I've laid out my first room and I think this will work. I've got my laundry room in there. That was the first thing I wanted to do. Let's look at that in 3D. Yeah, okay. So what do we have? That wall goes up to the, something's definitely wrong here, isn't it? Top of first floor. Oh, see what I have here? I think top of first floor wall. Something's definitely not clicking here because this wall, what is the top of this? Top of first floor. Oh, okay. So top of second floor wall, and my base constraint should be the bottom of the basement wall. Okay, now there we go. So I have different levels in there, but yeah, okay. So I'm going to undo that, and I have to figure out what I have set up or assumed. I'm making some assumptions here that aren't right in terms of the heights of the walls. But if I click on this wall, it makes sense. First floor is the base constraint. top of the first floor wall is the second. So now I'm still a little confused. So I'll just take a look at it and see what's going on by putting a section through there. Say, what the heck's going on through my section? Find resolution to see what's going on. This wall here's my first floor wall. Here's my first floor. Yeah, that makes sense. My first floor this is for the midterm in my class, these levels. So it's going to the right spot. This wall should go up to the top of the second floor wall, and the base of that wall should be, okay, and there's no dimensional offset there. It's just right up to that. Okay. And their grade, the base constraint should be the bottom of the basement wall. Okay, so I'm going to make that 0. And I'm going to make that 0 because I don't want that. Okay, so there we go. That makes more sense now relative to the levels that I have set. This is my first floor wall starts right here. Our first floor here. Top of the first floor is right here. So my stacked walls obviously don't match the levels, but I can fix that, and I will. So I'm not concerned about it. But anyway, that's where I would suggest that we want to continue to go now, is start putting in you've made your inside walls, and now you start putting them in. So let's say I wanted a hallway here. I would copy this guy back to there. How wide do I want my hallway to be? 5 feet is a nice dimension for a hallway. So I click on that wall, click here, say 5 feet, and now I have my hallway. I don't know if I want, and what do I want on the other side of that? I guess I want the kitchen. All right. So clearly, this guy is going to have to move. Now, notice that I have an icon next to my mouse cursor. That means I'm actually in a command. I'm telling Revit to do something. And when I see that, that's why I ask you to hit escape, so that we can get rid of the active command. So let's just see, what do I have here just for my kitchen? What did I say? I wanted a kitchen and a breakfast nook. So maybe 30 feet's a little bit better dimension here, but now it's a stacked wall. So I have to activate the dimension. Let's change that to 30 feet. Okay, that might be a little bit better. But wait a second. I said I wanted to have a backhaul lab here. So maybe I should copy this back, and maybe my lab should be 6 feet deep. So this wall, if I click on this guy, it's not a stacked wall, so I don't have to activate it, but I want a 6 foot lab in here. Okay, yeah, all right. So now create similar. I'm going to create similar and just draw another wall down here, because that's going to be the backhaul lab. And I realize now, what else do you need when you come in? You need a closet too. So let's put in another wall here by just copying it. And we'll put some dimensions in from here to here, and I'll just go to the wall. Okay, so what do I want? This wall is a powder room. Let's make it 7 feet. Okay, this is a closet. It should be at least 6 feet, maybe 6 feet 6. Okay, so now I've got my backhaul lab and a closet, or I've got my closet and a backhaul lab. But how do I get into the kitchen? So now I'll grab this guy, copy him over, and maybe that hallway would be 4 feet wide. So I just click on this wall, change that dimension to 4 feet, and I still have to get my backhaul closet in there. All right, and I don't have a dimension across here, so I'm going to click on this, edit the witness line, and put another dimension right there. So now I have that in there, and let's make that 6 feet wide and unjoin the elements. All right, that looks good. need that anymore. Okay, and let's clean that little corner up. And that's how this guy would evolve slowly but surely. So now I have my laundry room, which I said I wanted. And I have my kitchen and a breakfast nook, but I forgot that I would have to have, I said I wanted a lav, but I didn't think about a closet. Definitely need a back hall closet. So I'm starting to work that out. I still want probably 30 feet. So I'm going to hit the modify tab. I'm going to click on this guy, edit the witness line and put in another dimension right there. So I can change this now. That's a stacked wall, so I have to activate the dimension and go to 30 feet. And that's how I would start to evolve this around. Obviously, this doesn't have to be a rectangle that can have all kinds of shapes to it. If I wanted, what if I might want this to have a bay window or something in there, so I can do those kind of things too. But I like what I've got so far as a starting point. So I'm just going to save it and stop here and ask if anybody else is having any trouble or wants to share their screen and talk about what they're doing.
Professor Robert, this is Julio. I have one question. Where can we find the recording of the course?
Let's see. I should send that to you as an email. I don't have your email, Julio.
Oh, so my email, it's easy. It's my first name, Julio, at steelequities.com.
STEEL?
Equities.com. EQUITIES.com.
Okay. I'm gonna send an email to everybody at the end of the what I do is at the end of class, Zoom has to convert the recording to an MP4. It sometimes takes 2 or 3 hours for that to happen. And then I upload that MP4 to YouTube. And I upload it as a private recording. So only people that have the link can see it. So we can assume that the only people that have that link are those in this class that I email the link to. And so then you can watch that recording
Okay, good.
on YouTube. That's how it works. Make
Okay,
sense?
thank you.
Okay. So what else? Anybody else have a question, comment? They want to share their screen? But that's the starting point. And I would think that hopefully between the end of this class and the beginning of next class, that you at least have your first floor kind of laid out the way you think that it might be. Generally, the first floor, I don't worry about the second floor till I get the first floor laid out. And then often, in order for the second floor to work, I have to modify the first floor a little bit, or sometimes I have to modify it a lot. But I try to get some starting point. So the first thing is to assess what we want. The second thing is to do a bubble diagram. The third thing is to kind of lay out the first floor plan. And then the fourth thing is I do a quick sketch of the second floor on top of the first floor. And if it looks like it's going to work, then I start working on the second floor. And then if if I need more space on the second floor and it's not working on lining up with the first floor, then I might make the first floor a little bit bigger if I have to, or I might make it a lot bigger, depending on what's going on. But I don't, at this point, I don't worry about the second floor. I only think about making the first floor work, and then I can make the second floor work. Because anytime I'm 67 years old, I've done over 1,000 custom houses in my career. And anytime I've ever thought about the second floor while I was working on the first floor, never worked out that way anyway. So it was just a waste of time to think about the second floor. So I wouldn't recommend that anybody in this class think about the second floor right now. Just worry about the first. You can always change the first floor. You can see how easy it is. If you don't like the location of something, just move it. And if you don't like the location of something, just move it. So there's not a whole lot of anything that's fixed here, but what we're trying to do is get through learning a few of the extra commands that come up in the ribbons and starting to put in some walls. And once we do that, then we'll put in some doors and some openings, and maybe the doors or the openings don't work and we have to make things bigger or smaller. And that's not a problem. We'll make it all work out. We're just trying to learn how to use Revit. And I will have to spend a little bit of time because the levels that I show for this do not match the levels that we used in the class. So I'll have to change that, but it's not a big deal because notice that this wall is connected to the first floor wall, the top of the first floor wall. If I decide that I want to change the location of the top of the first floor wall for whatever, look what happens to the first floor, that wall that I put in, it also moves when I change that level. So I'm not too concerned about it at this point. I'll clean up my levels so that they match what we're doing in this class. And then the walls that I put in, as long as you pay attention to your constraints, you make sure that the top of your walls line up with the level of the top of the first floor wall. If you move that level, then all of the walls that you've created that have that constraint will change to the right height, to the correct height. So let's see. I'm looking for attendance here. I think I've got Winston. I don't see your name. I thought I saw you here though. Are you here, Winston? Okay, I don't see Winston, so I'm going to mark him as absent in attendance. And then we come down to Kenia. I don't see you. Are you here today? Okay, I'll mark you as absent. And then we're looking at Alexander Williams. Are you here today?
That's me. When you see Sandy, that's Sander Williams, so I'm here.
Gotcha. Okay, so good. I can put you there. And then who's left? There's only, yeah, so I'm going to delete. I put that in there. I'm going to take that out. What's left here? We got one more. That's Kevin Tavares. I thought I saw your name here. But anyway, Kevin, are you here? Kevin Tavares. Okay. Maybe you were earlier, but anyway. All right. So attendance is definitely taken. All right. I just have to hand this into Deborah, the coordinator here. Yeah.
Sorry, you got me, Daniel?
Yeah, I think if I didn't call your name, I definitely got you marked here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel Reinhardt, right? Yep, you're here. Yep, I got you. Okay, so we have a couple minutes left. You can see that there's a bit of a mess here because because my stack walls don't match my levels here. So I have to clean that up. But in your case, you just go around with the first floor and start laying those kind of things out, and they'll definitely work for you. So what else can I help you with tonight? We still have some time, got 8 minutes left. Is there anything I can help you with?
On your model, can you show us how to decouple walls that have been joined together?
Yeah. So like, if I don't want this wall to be connected, I'll just drag it up like that. Or drag it down and it'll connect. Or if I don't want this wall to be connected, well, that's on an angle, but that's nonetheless, it still works there. Yeah. And if that's a problem, you can always, well, let me cancel this. You see this little dot here? You can always say unjoin elements or disallow join, okay? And then when you're moving it, that's not going to be connected to the other wall Because sometimes if I move this wall, look what happens, it moves this wall too. Maybe I don't want it to move that wall. So if I click on here and I say disallow join, then
Got it.
it should move without dragging this wall with it. Yeah, okay.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. What else can I do for you? We still have a few more minutes.
When you did disallow that join and you moved the wall up, there was this little T icon that showed up.
Mhm.
What was that?
That is your allow and disallow join. The same
Okay.
thing. It's the same thing as the right clicking and saying disallow join. Exactly
see.
the same. Yep. But the good eyes that you saw that because that's pretty small on the screen.
Yeah,
Very good. All right.
thank you.
So the objective is not to put in cabinets and countertops yet, but I still put in a guideline where I think, I might have a countertop or an island or something like that. And I would do the same thing in the kitchen. I don't put in appliances or anything like that yet. I'm just trying to lay it out to see if the wall location makes sense from what I want to do. And then if you have that laid out, then next week we'll start doing some countertops and some cabinets and some appliances in the kitchen. Because I think we'd be ready for that, ready to do that. And maybe we'll do some stairs next week too. Stairs are pretty easy to do in Revit. If I try to draw a set of stairs in AutoCAD, it's going to take me hours to do the section and the floor plan, and I can't even think about doing a rendering. But in Revit, if I want to do the stairs, we're talking minutes, and it does the section and the floor plan and the rendering all in those few minutes. So stairs are a really nice feature in Revit. But if you're trying to do some really complicated stuff, it might take a little bit of additional fine tuning, but that's okay. We got.
Can you go over like edit witness line? I wasn't quite sure what that was for.
Sure. So let's say, let's pull this over to here. All right. So now I have a dimension line that looks pretty good location wise, but it's not telling me all the information that I want. In other words, it doesn't show me where this wall is located or this one, and it doesn't continue down I want it to go from one side of the house to the other. So I click on the dimension and I say, edit the witness line. And now I can start adding by just clicking where I want another dimension line to be. I can start adding more to that same string of dimensions. And the reason that that's valuable to us is that now if I grab that, it's one line and I can put it anywhere I want to put it. But if I had done it in pieces, then I would have to move it, all the individual pieces separately. So the edit the witness line is simply giving me an opportunity to add more pieces to an existing string of dimensions so that it's still a part of those dimensions. Does that help you out? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
based
that,
off of that, you can like let's say if you want to move like a room, or if you want to move a wall or multiple walls, can you do that based off of edit witness line?
well, if
Or-
I want to move a wall, one way I can move it is just like that, and it will change the dimensions automatically. Or if I wanted to move this wall, I could change it here, like we talked about before. I could change it to a different dimension here. I don't think you can. I think Revit would get confused if we tried to do multiple. Yeah, see, it's not going to let. I would have to do it one wall at a time.
Okay.
So then, move this one and then click on that one and move that one and then click on that one and move that one. Or if you knew they were all going to move the same distance, then highlight it, hold the control key down, select another one, hold the control key down, select another one, and say move. And you can click anywhere, use the mouse for direction and the keyboard for distance. And so if you knew you wanted to move all of them the same distance, then you can do it that way. Select
Okay.
them all. So those are the couple ways to make those things work out. But yeah. Okay, I think that's a good place. If nobody else has any questions, let's call it an evening. I'll make the recording probably tonight, possibly tonight, but most likely tomorrow. You'll get the email for the recording location on YouTube. And if you don't share that link with anybody else that's not in the class, then no one besides us will see it. I have no problem sharing, letting other people see it, but some people are a little hesitant to have their voice or their picture or their work shown. So let's respect the possibility that somebody else might not want you to share that link with other people outside of the class. So, all right, I'll see everybody next week, same time, same place, and good work. We're definitely making progress relative to the typical schedule of this class.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Right.